What's up YouTube, Capital G here, letting you guys know what the heck happened at YCS Milan 2019. As per usual, I spent the good portion of my weekend watching the live stream and reading up on the coverage so that you didn't have to. This was an event, full disclosure, that I did not have the highest of expectations for, mainly because the metagame is fairly defined at this point, and honestly I think that the meta is just kind of stale. A lot of Sky Striker, a lot of Orcus, but the event was actually pretty damn entertaining. I think a lot of that had to do with the coverage that was predictably fantastic. We all know at this point that European coverage is just absolutely stellar, and their broadcasting team was quite good. They even had a Yugi tuber. Farfa was on the coverage team doing an excellent job. I'll talk about him momentarily. And then we also saw some roguish level decks make it very far into the event, even to the finals. We also saw some meme-worthy plays on the highest levels. We'll talk about that too. But of course, I like to obviously open with the attendance of the event, and YCS Milan did not disappoint. We had almost 2,000 players at this event, and I know Konami has to be elated. It shows that 2019 was kind of a record-breaking year as far as like attendance, especially in Europe. This is now, well, the event came in at the exact number is 1,945 duelists that entered YCS Milan. This is now the largest YCS in the history of Italy. I believe that last year actually set the record and they broke it by a couple of hundred players. So it's really good to see that the European duelists they continue to support Yu-Gi-Oh! And the 2019 year has been a fantastic year for Yu-Gi-Oh! Overall in Europe. I think Konami might actually consider putting more events like on the YCS level, more of them in Europe than even North America, because the European players just keep coming out to these events, even in formats that are kind of stale and maybe not even the greatest. The numbers are just there, man. So definitely big ups to all of Europe for coming out and supporting the game. Now, when it comes to, I guess, like the deck entry breakdown, it was a little predictable. Orcus was the most popular deck, but it was not by an overwhelming number. I mean, you kind of have like a big four breakdown here where you have your pure Orcus, then you have Sky Striker that's just a little behind. You have Sky Striker, Orcus, and Salamangreat basically having the same exact numbers, only a few duelists I guess being the disparity. Now, really interesting here, True Draco coming in at 6 with 111 players. This is quite interesting because I wonder if people are looking at True Draco as kind of the counter to Orcus. We all know that True Draco can play a ton of floodgates, and a lot of them were main decking There Can Only Be One. We all know how powerful that card can be against decks like Salamangreat and Orcus, and to that point, True Draco actually, shockingly in my opinion, made it all the way to the finals. I mean, True Draco is definitely a very powerful deck and can be a very strong deck against a lot of the meta, but going to the finals, that's something that I absolutely did not expect. Now, when it comes to the coverage, it was amazing, and I just have to give a hand to Konami EU. They're doing such a great job of embracing Yugi tubers. It's crazy because for years, Konami, like as a whole, never acknowledged Yugi tubers, and now we've got Farfa at the freaking commentators table. He was doing coverage all weekend. It was absolutely amazing. He brought his own personal style, and this is coming off the back of Lithium 2300 doing the previous YCS. So in Europe, Konami definitely expanding their coverage, having Yugi tubers like Farfa and Lithium actually be able to like commentate the games, which I thought was really good, and Farfa did a really good job, looking sharp, did a very good job. One of the other things that I really liked is Konami also went around, they talked about the FNL list, and they were talking to players. Usually they do segments like this where they'll ask what was their favorite change, but this was interesting. They actually just asked the players outright which cards they would like to see come off the FNL list, and there were different answers like Tidal, Tribe Infecting Virus, which, come on Konami, you gotta know that Tribe Virus ain't broken no more. Ain't nobody trying to pop off with Mermill Tribe Virus. So I think this is interesting. Could this affect the FNL list? Maybe, or at least it can give them some ideas of what players would get excited about, cards coming off the list. I thought it was really cool that they did ask this. When it comes to the top breakdown, this was fairly predictable. I think that most people would consider Orcus and Sky Striker Orcus to be the cream of the crop. In my opinion, those are probably the best 2 decks of the format. I would put them at tier 1, and then maybe you could say like a pure Sky Striker and a Salamangreat are like tier 1.5. Those decks had about half the representation of the other 2 decks. We had Pendulums coming in with 3, True Draco coming in with 2, but as I said earlier, True Draco did make it all the way to the finals. Lunalight Orcus also getting into the top cut, as well as Thunder Dragon and Magical Musketeer sneaking in there. If you guys want to see that deck profile, it is on Lithium's channel. It's a very interesting build. I thought it was really solid. I actually am a little surprised. I feel like Lunalight Orcus is underperforming. I thought it was going to be one of the strongest decks of the format, like top 3, and it really has not done all that well. I wonder if it is because of Nibiru, but no, I don't even think so, because usually they make Azathoth during the combo. I'm not exactly sure why most players have kind of just dropped the Lunalight Orcus build for pure Orcus. It's interesting to me. Now, when it comes to some of the other things that people are talking about, we have to talk about the top 4 match. This was True Draco facing off against Sky Striker Orcus, and one of the absolute craziest things I think that I have ever seen happened in this match. Now, this is in game 3. And the winner of this duel will go to the finals. And it was a match that was definitely like a lot of back and forth. It felt like it was just kind of waiting for one player to capitalize. And this guy right here, Nail McNulty, he actually kind of has a good, he has the advantage in the duel. He double Twin Twisters. He Ash Blossom, the card demise used by True Draco. But then he had a brain fart. And this is what happened after Twin Twistering. He is going to normal summon Ash Blossom in Joyous Springs. Now, I understand what he was going for, and everyone was talking about this play. About half the people in the chat could not believe it when it happened, because even I was thinking, what the hell am I watching? He had a search from Orchestrated Crescendo, which he is going to use to get Harpoorer, but it's one of those plays where you think about your play so much that you kind of overthink it, and then you forget, like, oh wait, I normal summoned Ash Blossom. I do not have a way of getting this Harpoorer on the field and going for my Orcus. You can see right here his face. He realized that he screwed up. He starts laughing. He's like, oh my god, I think I just threw my potential YCS tournament, because again, if he ends up winning this duel, he is going to the finals. You're even going to see him declare an attack for 0 damage. He's in on the meme. People are, this was the meme of the event. You can see it right here. People are kind of just saying, man, you threw away a potential YCS championship. And the reason that it was so consequential is because his opponent, playing True Draco, Maximilian Delval, he didn't really have any cards in his hand. He had absolutely nothing, and he ends up top decking a card of demise. So obviously, if he would have had this Ash Blossom in his hand, he could have used Ash on it, and he probably would have won the duel. But it's just one of those situations where you end up making a really bad play. You knew it as soon as you dropped it. Everybody's kind of memeing him. Why did you summon Ash Blossom in the feature match? My golds are beyond your simple understanding, you simple-minded Yu-Gi-Oh player. Now, there was also some controversy at the event. This was in round 7, and you can kind of tell that players were not very happy about this, because if you look at the like to dislike ratio from this match, it is just it's definitely telling a story that people were not happy about this. It was Burning Abyss against my first Yu-Gi-Oh deck, which it was basically like a Dragon Link deck, and essentially one of the players, the Burning Abyss guy, Quentin Royer, he was called for slow play. Now, the reason that people were upset about this is because it kind of felt like it was a BS call. People were taking this player Mateo, and they assumed that he was the one who called over a judge for slow play. And it was a situation in game 3 where he opened with Dark Ruler No More, which meant he couldn't do battle damage, but then he kind of backed himself into a corner by using Destrudo and cutting his life points in half. So it really seemed like he did not have a win condition, although he made a very big board, and that his opponent, Quentin, would have just won in time. But the judges came over, they ended up giving him a slow play warning, they gave the game an extension, and he ended up losing in time. And people thought that Mateo was the one who called over a judge. So people were calling him a rules shark, they were calling him this, that, and the third. And actually it got so bad that Matt Bell, who basically, runs the events, he works for Konami EU, he had to come out and make a statement saying, look, this guy didn't actually call over a judge. The judge intervened of his own volition. It was kind of one of those calls that I don't personally agree with, because I don't feel like there was any slow play on Quentin Royer's side. I don't really understand what the judge saw, but it was a situation where the judges intervened, and it probably ended up costing Quentin Royer the victory, because he didn't leave the game with any time. I think there was 15 seconds left in the game. All he had to do was go to his, main phase 2 and then go to end phase, and he would have ended up winning because his opponent was at 4,000 life points because of the Destrudo. But overall, this was a very interesting event. I thought the coverage was absolutely amazing. I love that Konami EU is embracing content creators, YouTubers, letting their personalities shine through and having them commentate some of these events. I think that that's absolutely awesome. I think there was a lot to take away from this event. Maybe not from a pure metagame perspective, because we saw pretty much the big 4 decks, and they were the most played decks, they were the most represented in the top cut, but we did see a little bit of breakthroughs. We saw True Draco make it all the way to the finals. I consider True Draco no higher than a tier 2 deck, and we got some very interesting and some amazing feature matches, including the semifinals pretty much being defined by a meme play. I mean, normal summon Ash Blossom attack, like it was definitely a play that will be remembered, and I thought the event was actually very entertaining, much more so than I would have expected. So whatever you guys thought of YCS Milan, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.